soldering, and you know how the soldering fumes can smell like a hazard. Oh, I forgot to send a message. Well, I typed a message, did not send it. Now we sent the message to our illustrious chat. And you know what I'm noticing? I'm noticing that is weird. Okay, there we go. Now we're live. Alrighty, yeah, one of these days we're gonna have an intro music. We're gonna have an intro, we're gonna have a video clip. Heck, I was thinking about editing some video clips today, but you know, once Monday is over, I lose that sense of urgency. But anyway, let's just get some things tweaked out. And I got a special set of pictures to showcase today. Well, not like terribly special, but pretty special. I just want to make sure I segregate it from the pornography. I'm kidding. But anyway, you never know, man. You know, ever since watching that Vouch guy open up his porn by accident, like, I'm super paranoid. Like, I'm afraid I'm going to open up a folder from, like, 1999 and find some crazy stuff, you know? So, it's like, originally I was thinking about, like, doing a stream where I take my old iOmega zip discs and we just kind of browse them and see what's on them. But now, I don't know. But also, last time I went to look through an iOmega zip disc from, like, 1999... I found a shit ton of Sailor Moon hentai on there. No, not a shit ton, like a pretty small amount, but you know, like a lot for 1999, like 20 pictures. It was actually like a manga comic. It was not really real manga. Anyway, before I dig myself a hole, let me get those pictures. Okay, there we go. These are totally legit pictures of Starlink satellites. So actually, I was going to save these for later. But maybe we'll show them now. So actually, we got this from a friend of the channel, as a matter of fact. In fact, they're in the chat right now. Their name rhymes with Ilium. Yeah, their name rhymes with Ilium. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what other words rhyme. So, can you guys tell me what you're looking at right here? Can you tell what is in this photograph and why I'm cranking an invisible... Oh, I'm not on camera. Okay, well, let's get myself on camera there. Too high. There we go. All right, now I'm on camera. You know, my vanity does not allow me to not be on camera now, does it? Now, but what about you people in the chat? Does your vanity allow you to not be on screen? Do you want to see your messages on screen? Because, you know, if somebody says something really bad, I have to then edit the stream after the fact. But anyway, one of these days, I might do what Makini does, just to use an example, because I was watching him earlier this morning. But Makini draws, like, you know, he'll have like a, you know, like a lot of people have that nice, like, little background, so you can read the text over the, you know, backdrop. Anywho, let's get right to it, because it looks like I have some new names here. I got Philip Demick here. Hey, thanks for dropping by. He was just joining us in the chat for the Mech Pit with Ironcaster, who does his show around 9 o'clock or 9:30. I think he does it at like 9 p.m. on Mondays. Yeah, that's when it started today. So if you're interested in Mecha, you should definitely subscribe to the Ironcaster at 9, so that you can watch him on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And one of these days, in fact, I think I fixed the chat bot. I think I actually fixed the chat bot. We're gonna do a science project right now. We're gonna see if the chat bot actually works. Or as the nerds would say, actually. But let's see, we're going to do a little science project here. So I got to add him to the list. I'm doing it right now. It's right here. So we're going to just do a quick command, add a command. How do I do this again? Custom commands, add a new command. Then we're going to do Ironcaster. And then it's going to say subscribe to this person. And then later on, I'll add for Mech Pit on Mondays. And I'm sure he does other content, but I'm just going to keep it simple. There we go. So let's do a little science project here. If anybody who's a mod wants to do this, I think anybody can do this. Let's try it out right now. Does my quality seem low? You're hating on my quality? No, there might be a very good reason for this. Yeah, so I got this like very questionable situation with the matte lines around me. I did notice that. And the other thing going on is... I kind of wish I did it directly out of OBS. Today we're running the virtual camera, so I'm just gonna YOLO it. See, virtual camera. But yeah, like I'm seeing like a lot of things. It could be, oh, you know what it is? Probably because I got like a stack of gunpla above me. Let me just put this down here. It's creating a shadow, and then I got like a bunch of Blu-rays on top of my computer. See? I might return this Hobbit because it's not the 4K edition. It doesn't really help a whole lot, but we're gonna roll with it. You know, what else can we do, right? So okay, what's in this picture here, guys? Can you guess? Well, I'll tell you what it is anyway. This is what we call a satellite train of Starlink satellites, and you can see them as evidenced by the row. So as contributed by William in the chat. Oh, the pic. Oh yeah. Well, okay, as long as it's not the whole stream. But yeah, I mean, this is it, man. This is what you sent this to me. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, it might have been compressed through Google thingy, you know, Google Chat. But congrats on fixing the bot. Bot lives matter. Oh yeah. So let's do the test. We're gonna do a little science right here. I'm gonna type in the word iron caster exclamation point, and in theory, it didn't work. Oh, it worked. Okay, good. There we go. I fixed it. Good. Because I used to have trouble with this. I found that you have to make the stream elements bot into a wrench, and then all as well. So anyway, yeah. So let's just keep rolling here. Next picture. There's another one right there. So, you know, I remember when Starlink first launched, there were a lot of people in the astronomy communities whining about, like, you know, the light, how it's going to ruin astronomy. And then there was like the Chilean observatory, which I get it. They spent a lot of money to build a damn good telescope or set of telescopes in Chile, in the Alps or wherever, you know, like the place, whatever they call the Chilean Alps, they call them the Andes. Yeah, the Andes Mountains. And, you know, they want every minute of that night to be utilized by taking pictures of star stuff, right? And they got a bunch of ruined pictures. They got photobombed by Starlink satellites. And actually, William, I don't think the quality is bad. I think it's blurry. There's a little motion blur, but you know what it is? This is a common issue. So this is one of the things that happens. Like when I first got into astrophotography, I would take a picture on, you know, any SLR or DSLR. And when you see the pictures on a tiny screen like this, you're like, oh, wow, this stuff looks pretty damn good. Like these points of light look pretty decent on this itty bitty screen. And then you look at it on a real computer screen, you're just like, holy crap, the entire night of imagery was garbage. Now, a phone screen is a bit bigger than this, I get that. But I remember the time I was taking pictures on the way home from Texas on an airplane, and I took a picture of the Big Dipper, which I was really proud of this, because like, I was able to photograph the Big Dipper. I manually put the camera into like a long exposure mode. I did different settings actually. You know, I did the automatic mode and I did the manual long exposure mode. And I had a picture of the Big Dipper out the window of an airplane. And it looked really cool on my phone. And then when I zoomed in on it or looked at it on a normal screen, either which way, and I'm checking my email right now, it would be like, you know, it would just be like, you know, like there would be like, you know, like little trails, little tracks. But I am going to download the newest imagery right now, and we're going to double check. And I believe my theory is going to pan out, but I would love to be wrong because, you know, I just love to have cool pictures. So let's do this. All right, so we got Starlink satellites. We're going to call this SSB because the Starlink satellites B. You know, and the SS being the guys from social studies classes in World War II. Okay, that's terrible. I don't even know where I'm going with that. Anywho, let's see here. So we're going to go here. And then we're going to go here. Then I'm going to double click here. And they kind of do look better. And how do I do one-to-one? I got to click on the one-to-one button. I want to say these are the same. So let's see, 1901, 1700, 1429. Then we do the view details, 1901, blah, blah, blah. No, holy shit, I was wrong. I stand corrected, William. I mean, the numbers don't lie. 41 kilobytes versus like 1 megabyte. You know, like, boom. Like, yeah, okay. So there we go. Okay, so we got a better picture. Thank you, William, for electronically mailing that to me so that we can take a good look at it. Wow, I didn't know I didn't know the blood moon lunar eclipse was tonight. It is? Am I tripping? You know what was last night? Supposedly there was a stellar collision. We're actually going to look at some raw data at some point tonight to see if we can find evidence of a sort of like a nova event. Basically, there's these two stars in the Corona Borealis sector of the sky, and they're supposed to collide with each other. And when they do, the stars supposed to go from magnitude 10 to a magnitude 2. And in astronomy, or whatever the heck, field, a magnitude 2 is brighter than a magnitude 10. Ah, there we go. I was always thinking about doing some software maintenance during tonight's stream, but I think I should probably save that for tomorrow. But yeah, fun fact is, don't install unnecessary plugins in Stellarium before you, well, if you have a better way of doing it. Anywho, so it was HIP 7822, was it? Yes. And this star right here, this magnitude 10, is scheduled to become like a magnitude 2 at some point. In fact, they even say like magnitude 2 to magnitude 10. Now, I don't know why they have this broad range here, because I mean, I think the last time it became a magnitude 2 was like 80 years ago. But anyway, so last night when I went to bed, I had this target locked basically so that if it did get brighter, I would have pictures of it becoming brighter, and we might even be able to do some photometry to analyze it and like, see how much brighter it is and have some scientific data. But realistically, it's the real scientist data that I would be checking my data against anyway. So I wouldn't really trust it, So anyway, yeah, so that's the star I was looking at yesterday. That's some of the raw data we're going to take a look at in a little bit. We might even train our sights on it, although we got a really full moon tonight. And to my knowledge, it's not an eclipse tonight. But we can actually check those things. But right now, like, it's just a darn full moon, I mean, as far as I'm aware, the solar system, I mean, the Earth is not blocking the light. Now, a full moon could be a little boring because, when you have a half moon or something like that, the shaded side, like right here, you can see a hint of shadow. That's where the details come to life, Oh, look, a satellite. Is that a satellite? Let's see. Can we click it? Can we click it? Can we click it? Oh, no, I lost it. That was just a UFO, maybe. Okay. And what up, Bucky's Crafting? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in tonight, Bucky's Crafting. James is disappointed. What did I... First, I self-correct. I don't even know what I self-corrected. I must have said a slur or something. But then I'm disappointing James now. Oh, yeah, maybe I can read the chat. I don't think Downloader Helper works the way it used to work. Yes, that is disappointing, actually. So, basically, you use it in Firefox when it doesn't work in Chrome. That's basically how that works. So I was thinking about doing like a red, blue, green stack on this. Oh yeah, fire extinguisher satellite. But you can see this is the salt and pepper cluster. In fact, no, it's not even a real, it's an open cluster. It's NGC 2192. I don't know the name of it. And this is what a 2-minute exposure at magnitude 10 looks like in the blue filter. I took some pictures in the red filter that were blurry. If I take more pictures of this, I'll probably wait till after the stream so that we don't, waste time, or do it at the end. But I am going to, make a little list here so that I can note that I so far captured pictures in blue. So there we go. And the auto guiding was being a little sketchy last night, but then like I figured out how to fix it. But this is critical because, the mount is never going to precisely counter the Earth's rotation. It'll be pretty close, but you do longer than a 2-minute exposure and you're going to run into problems with oblong stars. So anyway, I think we should start with the moon because, it's bright as heck and it's not going to take it anymore. So we can see the little reticle is now slewing to the target. And this map, this sky, these lines are proof the Earth is definitely not flat. I mean, if there's anybody who firmly believes the Earth is flat in the chat, I'm not going to berate you. I just want to hear like a good reason, but I also would want the person to listen to reason if like I think their reason is not reasonable. But in a nutshell, yeah, none of this stuff that we predict, like we can predict when the moon's going to fly over, we can predict when these things are going to fly by, none of it works outside of the current known model, you know. So anywho, let's see. And I do want to say hi to Whooper Trooper, who I didn't say hi to yet, but you know, I'm sure you got my message. So we all, you know, like we can discuss that technological thing at any time. Hell, we can even do it on Tech Thursday. But no, joke aside, I'll DM you back if you have any questions about that. Let me see. I just want to catch up on the chat. Yeah, the trees in the picture that William took were pretty nice, weren't they? Here, let's get a look at those real quick. Yeah, those are pretty nice trees, aren't they? So anyway, I didn't even finish talking about this. So, okay. Starlink satellites. A bunch of astronomers got their panties in a twist when Starlink satellites came online, and they would post pictures saying, "Oh my God, it's ruining the seeing conditions." And then a bunch of people like me would get all upset too, like it was a big deal. And you know, I was concerned a little bit, but barely. And I did some research, found out there are ways to filter these out. I mean, obviously you could botch a bunch of images regardless, but generally speaking, you could filter out satellites using a method called sigma clipping. Essentially, it'll look for like something, like it'll look for objects in the frames that aren't normally in the other frames, and it'll essentially, you'll be able to filter out those unwanted objects. But anyway, the thing is, why is this not an issue? Well, you see, when you launch a Starlink satellite, when SpaceX launches Starlink satellites, they initially start off at a lower orbit, you know, closer to the ground, lower altitude. And so they're more bunched up. So you'll have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. And that's how we get the so-called satellite train. But all of these satellites are equipped with ion engines, just like a TIE fighter from Star Wars. Well, not quite like one, but you know. And so the ion engines are more or less able to use electricity to propel. I mean, there's a little bit more going on in there to carry some reaction mass or some kind of gas or some kind of metallic thingy or something like that. But essentially, you could run a ion engine for weeks on end. Like, you could literally run them for multiple weeks, whereas a chemical propulsion engine, a rocket or anything like that, is going to, you know, run out of fuel in a pretty short order. Like, you're not going to run a rocket engine at, like, full blast for weeks on end. Now, an ion engine is relatively weak, but because you can run them for extended periods of time, you keep getting more and more speed. So as long as you're maintaining, even if you're maintaining a low rate of acceleration, for every second that thing is moving or being pushed, it's going like a little faster than it was a moment earlier. And so eventually you start to realize pretty good speeds or pretty good velocities. And so bottom line is that they're able to use chemical propulsion to get the rockets, to get the satellites into their low orbit. And then once they're in the low orbit, they use their ion engines to accelerate. And just by accelerating to a higher speed while you're in orbit, you're able to go into a higher altitude, a higher orbit. And of course, what happens if these guys go to a higher orbit? Well, they spread out, you know? So at that point, you're not going to all see them as clearly, and you're certainly not going to see them as bunched up as they are now. Now, I'm not going to say you're not going to see any Starlink satellites once they're at altitude. As I understand it, it depends on the angle of the sun with relation to their solar panels. So that's why usually once they're at a higher altitude, they're a bit harder to see unless you're looking at them at certain angles. But overall, they're most visible in this manner during their initial weeks after launch or days after initial launch. And that is where a lot of those, you know, astronomers who are really upset, that was the period of time when a lot of those damning photos come out. And real quick, I do want to rewind a little bit. If the Earth was flat, cats would have pushed everything off this side already. Bucky's Crafting says, I don't think the Earth is flat, but I love learning about the theories for world building in Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, that's kind of fun. And even like, you know, one thing like I got to say, like, you know, because of the flat Earth thing, I paid attention to the whole, you know, Copernican thing. And, you know, there's like different models before the current model. And, you know, there's even different versions of heliocentrism. That, you know, like oftentimes you'll get into arguments with flat earthers and they'll make a stab at like heliocentrism, like it's some ridiculous concept. And sometimes you'll realize like they're referencing like some old version of it. Because, you know, you got Kepler, you got Copernicus. I don't know which order they arrive in, but, you know, you got Kepler, Copernicus, and some other guy, Tycho Brahe. I might be saying that. It might be Tycho Brahe. But anyway, you got these European guys, and they all had like slightly different versions of the, of like diagrams to explain why things appear to move the way they do. But they weren't all, I forget which one was more correct, but not all of them were quite as correct as the other guys. So anyway, I do want to add that Whooper Trooper says, I do believe the Earth is flat. I just say it sometimes for comedic effect. Oh, I don't believe the Earth is flat. Well, you know what? I'm gonna construe your words. Whooper Trooper thinks the Earth is flat. Nah, he doesn't say that actually. He thinks that the Earth in Pokemon Stadium is flat because it might be. Yeah. So, if you had a shit ton of satellites, James, they could obscure the stars eventually, but I'm not super worried about it because, I mean, I think that things will self-regulate. And if the cost of bringing payloads into space becomes cheap enough, maybe we could just launch our own space telescopes anyway. Mr. Carter. Oh, Mr. Carter. Does the ion drive appear like a green glow? I don't think it does. I think it's a blue glow. William, do you know about that? I do remember seeing like prototype ion engines shooting out this nice white, looking, thing. But I don't know. But speaking of that, William says, Falcon 9, Block 5, Starlink, Group 6-46, launch successful. 00, midnight, March 25th. Wait, no, that's not what that says. 000, March 25th to 7:42 Eastern Daylight Time. Okay, so that is the launch. I'm guessing that's the launch that we're looking at, huh? So yeah, that's that was done on a Block 5 Falcon 9 rocket. It's sort of like, a revision of the Falcon 9 is Block 5. And yeah, that's the Starlink group right there. Group 64 blah blah. Let's see if we can get that on screen real quick. Yeah, there we go. So you heard the man. That one. Yeah, group 6 blah blah blah. It's right here, highlighted that. It's the topmost message right under James's 2 messages on the top of the screen. So, yeah, science says that is true. That was a perfect example. That was a perfect example of the nightly news. I don't even know what I said, but I'll take that as an honor, I guess. Because I don't know. I don't want to be too much like the nightly news guy, but, they are professionals. I haven't watched Welcome Back, Mr. Carter in a couple of years. That was funny. Yeah, I watched it on cable a couple of times too, Bucky, a long time ago. Taking a few words out of context and completely changing the meaning. Oh, I can live with that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. In that case, I am living up to the nightly news standard, aren't I? Ever make an ion engine with plastic straws and aluminum foil? No, but I did watch that guy with the YouTube channel about the whole plasma physics thingy. Do you think Oumuamua is the probe from Star Trek 4? Star Trek 4, the whale probe. No, I think it's the probe from the original series episode with Nomad. The one that sterilizes soil samples, but then got damaged and mistakenly thought its job was to sterilize. Period. Like, just sterilize. It was like, it went from sterilizing soil samples to sterilizing. And obviously, that's a pretty broad meaning, when it comes to dealing with life. But jokes aside, Oumuamua, I kind of like, I fucking, oof. Like, I don't know, like, I like the idea that it could be like a dead probe, because like, it's not unreasonable to be open to the possibility that some kind of ship or probe was sent in this direction and maybe has long since been dead, and that's why we don't get any radio signals from it. That's why it's a dead thing, but we don't even know really what it looks like. Like, what's the most real picture of Oumuamua? Let's see, I'll show you right now the most real picture. You're gonna love this. And I remember I was watching some like guy, he's sort of like the Fight the Power type of YouTube channel who focuses on prepping, and he had like an argument about this. But anyway, this is it right here. So that's Oumuamua. That's like the realest photo I can pull up of it. And essentially what it is that you got this fast moving object. So in order to, I'm gonna guess that it was initially detected as a skid mark, as a streak. And when you take your telescope or your tracking instruments and you make the mount or the movement match the movement of Oumuamua, the stuff that's not moving at the same speed is going to look like it does in the background here. It's going to look like a bunch of streaks or dots. And I imagine these are like a series of separate exposures maybe that were stacked. I don't really know why they're coming up like dots, but I can kind of see the logic. Like, this might as well be streaks as far as I'm concerned. And so the conspiracy guy was all like, you know, oh yeah, it can't possibly be the best picture. He was arguing that the government, they, in quotations, they have way better instruments. And maybe they do, but whoever they are. But no, the Keck Observatory in Hawaii is a known quantity. You can look up the specifications on it. I think it was the Keck Observatory. I believe the Keck is a stereoscopic instrument. So it's got like some form of parallax measurement. But anyway, like it's like they have a telescope where it's let's see if we can get a picture of that. Keck Observatory. So yeah, I believe this is the one that has the 2 domes because it's actually able to do some stereoscopic stuff, sort of like a pair of binoculars. However, it looks like there's some additional, you know, there are some additional observatory domes. There's actually the 2 identical spherical domes. You got a more conventional dome, and you got this other one here too. So, I don't know if they're all linked. It's my understanding these 2 work together on a lot of things to give you, you know, to measure parallax. These probably don't work together, but I wouldn't rule it out because, you know, you like the VLT telescope. If you've ever seen the VLT telescope, this is actually one where they use multiple telescopes and they combine their images to get a higher resolution, basically. So it's like, it's a way of achieving, it's basically like you take like 5, let's just say the mirrors are 10 meters. I don't even know how big they are, but you take like 4 10-meter telescopes and you essentially have the resolution of 40 meters. Basically, you get more aperture or you get more detail. Don't quote me on that. And they apparently have some other stuff here too. Like they got these adorable little domes down here too. But it's the big ones, I think, that really work in concert. I would bet you these are more for like finding the target. And then once they find a target, they lock on with these guys. But I'm really guessing. I don't know. So getting back to, let's get some astronomy done here. We're gonna do some science. Oops, did I close my browser? I think I needed to keep that open. And then they shoot a laser and they can do this thing where they're able to compensate for the wavefront. They're able to compensate for the twinkle in the atmosphere by adjusting the mirror based on what the laser is allowing them to see. So they can basically cancel out interference is how they're doing it. But yeah, so that's a Muamua right there. So anyway, where was I gonna get my panties? I'm about to get my panties in a bunch. So let me get another tab open. And we're gonna find a person to get our panties in a bunch over. All right, there we go. We're going to go straight to the Galileo project. What is the Galileo project? This guy, Dr. Avi Loeb. I seen him being interviewed on the on the John Michael Gaudier show, Event Horizon. And like, he thinks he's like fucking Galileo. I mean, like, but my problem with the guy is like, he's really into the whole UFO thing. I'm happy for him that he's able to secure funding to go out on a boat trip to the fucking Pacific Ocean to drag a magnet over the ocean floor to pick up metal particles. But I don't buy this bullshit where it's like, oh, we found metal spheres on the fucking ocean floor. Clearly that is alien technology. It's like, motherfucker, like, that could be industrial pollutants. There could be iron in the asteroid. But like, I don't think they did enough controls. I don't think they like scan. I don't think they dragged their electromagnet over the ocean floor in enough other places to be able to rule out the possibility that these particles could be found somewhere else. So what happened was there was like an asteroid that was measured moving at a really high speed over the Pacific Ocean and crashing into the Pacific Ocean. So right off the bat, the impression was that, oh, this asteroid is freaking, you know, is like, you know, it must be an extraterrestrial thing. It must be from somewhere else. Now, that's assuming that the ballistic missile satellites that we use, the satellites we use for tracking ballistic missiles, are, you know, that's assuming they are measuring the speeds accurately. But it's like, no, this is not a fucking smoking gun. or this is not like strong evidence of anything as far as I'm concerned. It's like, you're gonna need to do a bit more. You're gonna need to do more. This is like just like the fucking whole UFO thing with the Air Force and the Pentagon. It's like, Pixar didn't happen. Okay, like, I'm just not sold. So it's like, once again, I'm happy that the guy went on a boat trip, hung out, and was able to play scientist on a boat. But I remember like watching another astronomer, a real astronomer, like one who's actually, you know, a professional, and their argument was like, you know, he's a Harvard guy. He can get away with this. It's like, you know, you don't get accused of being a crackpot when you're someone of his stature, I guess. But he's also the type of guy who has a bunch of people working in a team to help him write research papers. So he's able to, you know, meet a schedule where he's able to release a lot of papers, and some of them are really simple. You know, they're not like terribly complex papers in the opinion of some people. But yeah, anyway, I don't really have a problem with that. I don't really care about his research papers, but I do care about extraordinary claims. You know, it's like, so it's like, and I don't like the hype. I don't like the, let's see. I don't even know what this guy's going to say, but I'm going to read his tweet. I don't know what side he's on. Skeptic magazine. He might be in a skeptics. Let's see if he's a skeptic. Here's what Avi Loeb found on the ocean bottom. Microscopic metallic spherules. He thinks are from an interstellar meteor that hit Earth in 2014. Here's how Popular Mechanics illustrates its article about the find. No wonder the public thinks aliens. And yeah, it's like you got these, like, you know, cool looking, I don't even know if these are actually real pictures or if they're like spruced up. But, you know, I'm kind of like in the same camp that, like, this is not enough. It's like, I don't know, this is like child's play, dragging magnets over the ocean floor and looking at particles of metal. Like, I really don't give a shit. Outside of the fact that I give a shit about the hype, but I don't give a shit about this in any other way. So anyway, now that I've gone on a rant, I do want to say hi to Caleb Reynolds. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a wonderful evening today. Let's take a look at the Astrometrics equipment now. So it looks like we intercepted a cloud. Oh, the moon. We're looking at the moon. All right, we can fix that. Oh, okay. Are we looking at the moon? We are a little off target, just a little bit. That's all right. We can fix that. Like, you know, like, what's that guy? Bob Ross would say, it's happy mistakes. But jokes aside, we got this. So we're going to crank down our ISO and our gain. In fact, we're going to just drop it to the bottom. We're going to bring our megapixel mode into 47 megapixel mode. And, you know, we'll get the target nice and centered. Ronnie, if you find a new star, can you name it after me? JK, this stuff is pretty cool. I can name a star after me, but I actually can't because it's probably already got a name, or I'll probably call up some hotline to be like, hey, I'd like to get my star named, and they'd probably steal it from me. They're like, oh, that star already has a name. And a week later, a new name appears on the catalog. It's the guy I called. So anyway, let's see. We're going to just get this thing here, and we got that. Oh, my telescope's upside down. Maybe the Earth is flat. There we go. It's just a 3D diagram of the mount. It allows me to make sure it's not going to bump into the tripod. You know, you could damage USB cables if you're not careful with that. So I believe we're going to go pull west. There we go. It's a little sluggish, but we're going to do that. We're going to crank up the speed a little bit. And in the meantime, maybe it's a Vogon Galactic Construction Ship. Is that a reference to, like, Hitchhiker's Guide or something? David Glenn, I hope we don't have to listen to their poetry. Oh, God. So we got to put it into lunar tracking mode. Now, remind me later on if I start pointing at something other than the moon that I have to disable lunar tracking mode. So now we're going to just... Oops, went in the wrong direction. Okay, pull it back, pull it back, pull it back. Yes, so I do have a rolling shutter. So they have what they call a global shutter and a rolling shutter. And certain times you need a camera that has a global shutter if you're trying to measure, like, the velocity of a meteor shower or some crap like that, and you're trying to combine multiple cameras together at the same time to do the job. Having a global shutter helps, but for most purposes, this is ideal. For my purposes, it's fine and ideal. So one thing is that taking pictures at 47 megapixels can be, you know, enormous. You know, you can end up with a lot of data. So what I do is I crop the image sensor, get rid of the black margin. That's what this red box is showing here. And that makes it so that now there's that much less data being captured. And we could even crank down the resolution a little bit lower. Like, let's see how low we can go before we run into a problem. Probably fossilized fish eggs. It sure looked like, I mean, I think they are metal, but from what I've been, what I read into, they can just as well be industrial pollutants. And that kind of makes sense. And I mean, I remember someone was trying to debunk it, and they were saying, oh, there were a lot of battles in that region of the Pacific during World War II, or there was one big battle there. Now, I don't know if that's like a strong reason, but yeah, I mean, in general, if that was the right region of the Pacific, and ships were blowing up, and going on fire, and they were full of bunker oil going on fire, maybe some of that would leave little metal spherules. That's a weird word. So anyway, there we go. So, okay, I'm going to sing Fly Me to the Moon like they do at the end of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Fly me to the moon and let me sing among the stars. Okay, that's terrible. I'm sorry. I hope I don't get in trouble for that. I love Japan, but since they call me Gaijin, I feel like it's only fair that we crack jokes back and forth. I would love to meet a Japanese person who's comically racist, where they could dish it out and they could receive it, and maybe have a nice two-way roast, I would love that. I mean, I would also like to make friends with a regular Japanese person. I'd be fine with that too. And I follow 2 Japanese people on YouTube. One of them does astronomy on their patio, basically. And then the other one is this girl, and she builds Gundam kits. Her name is Tamu-san, and she builds Gunpla, and she plays oboe covers of Gundam songs. And she plays anime covers in general, but I obviously tuned in when I heard her doing Gundam covers. Okay, so let's see if I can get this to focus here. So what usually happens is you're going to overshoot the mark like I just did now, and it gets blurry, and that's okay, because I can just reverse it and try again. So yes, this is the backyard telescope. Sometimes I show pictures of it. Might have pictures of it right now. Not really sure. I might be able to show you. I might have something to show for it right here. If I can find where I put my video recording folder with the I had I used to have a surveillance camera that worked. I might be able to fix it. Might buy a new one. But I do have a folder full of video recordings from said surveillance camera. And if I can remember what name of that folder was, I would happily show you. But I can't remember. But and I know I'm gonna find it right after the stream. I always find it after the stream. Maybe I have a shortcut to it somewhere. It's gotta be right. Oh, you know what? I know what I'm gonna do. We're going to open up the surveillance camera app that will allow me to find the pictures, because it'll tell me what folder it's in. Okay, so there's the app. And I got to go into the storage, and it's going to be on my E drive, inside some folder on my E drive. Oh, wait, there we go. It just opened it for me. Good. Yes, close the, bummer. Okay. It's no longer there. I may have moved it somewhere else. I think I moved it to a network drive. So yeah, we're not gonna have that picture right now, unfortunately. But I did find some other things here. What is this? The Elephant Nebula? Let's take a look at the elephant trunk real quick. And it's just got a little random here, but that don't look like an elephant trunk, does it? You know what? Can't really say I see anything in that. Yeah, I don't really see an elephant trunk in there. Yeah, let's close that for now and get back to this real quick. And then I'll read the chat. But yeah, so okay, I have a 100mm refractor telescope. That's a 100mm aperture. Basically the size of the lens. And piggybacked on it, I have a small 40mm telescope that has 180mm focal length. So, the big boy telescope is a 550mm. That's the one we're looking at now. And then the little telescope is like I said, is like a 180mm. And so what we do is, when I'm looking at stars or galaxies or anything that requires a long exposure, The baby telescope, the little telescope, is used for auto guiding. So this software essentially lets me lock onto a star, and if that star starts drifting in one direction or the other, this will send corrective pulses to keep it centered. And we're not using auto guiding in that manner right now because we're looking at the moon. The moon's a damn bright object. We're not locking onto it with that particular software or camera, at least not with those settings. But sadly, I know it's going to be cloudy tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's going to be cloudy tomorrow, and it looks like we're getting a hint of that right now because this is not just poor focus. This is like the freaking atmosphere being a dick. I think they should nuke the atmosphere. Like, just nuke the whole atmosphere. If they nuke the atmosphere, we wouldn't have any atmosphere to worry about, would we? Now, we could do some tricks here. We could do a couple of tricks. So, right now, I think I'm about to overshoot the mark again. Yeah, so we know it's blurry, but what can we do? Well, we're on a blue filter. Maybe the blue filter is picking up more light pollution. So we switch to the red filter. And we repeat. And maybe this time, it'll come out clearer. And if it doesn't, we got a little magic trick called hydrogen alpha. And like an alpha male, hydrogen alpha filters power through the bad atmosphere. So we can switch to that here. Yeah, so anyway, in the backyard, I have a computer hooked up to, I might even have pictures of the computer. I literally have a computer in the backyard in a electrical enclosure. And like, I have the telescope mount, the cameras hooked up to that computer, and so we're remotely logged into that computer using an application called Parsec, although I have 3 different ways of remotely logging into that computer. So I can log in using Windows Remote Desktop, I can log in using Splashtop or Parsec. I like to have a little redundancy in that area because otherwise I have to get off my ass and go outside, and I'm not trying to do that. Yeah, one of these days maybe I'll edit a video with the actual equipment because I took some new pictures of the equipment recently, so we can do that. Maybe I'll make a compilation at work tomorrow, I'll edit some clips at work so I can like upload it as like a short or something like that. But we do have some pictures from a while ago, and we have some pictures from last night. So real quick, let's take a look at the hydrogen alpha filter because that punches through light pollution. You can see how like the moon is dark, but look how much clearer it kind of is. Like, it's like not great, but like it's an improvement. Now, of course, you got to do a longer exposure time. The image gets darker when you're cutting through using a hydrogen alpha filter. But it is clearer. It's filtering out a lot of undesirable light. But those clouds are still going to be a pain in my ass. Someone lost their fire extinguisher. I saw it orbiting the moon. I was going to say this very response, Caleb Reynolds. That's a good Sinatra tune. Whoopa Troopa. I know a few Japanese people on YouTube, but none of them are actually Japanese. What are they, Filipino? No, I'm kidding. I seen something where there was a Filipino actor playing a Japanese person. It kind of amused me. So when's the turtle cam coming out? Soon? I just... Okay, so I'm like fucking like... I want everything. I want a camera that goes underwater, that is cheap. And I also want a camera that I can aim, that is cheap. Now, I get a cheap camera that I can aim that isn't underwater, or relatively cheap, but it's probably going to cost me like $300 when everything's said and done, like getting like different cameras, because I don't think I can do it with one camera. I can have one camera above the tank. So I figure I have one camera above the turtle tank with night vision on it, because it's really fun watching turtles sleep. It's like, it's just, I don't know, it's like watching your baby sleep. When you see a turtle underwater like this, I don't know, it's something very therapeutic about looking at that. Plus, if my turtle is sleeping comfortably, I know that she's happy. So, it's kind of like, why go through the effort of taking care of a turtle if they're not going to be somewhat happy or comfortable? But it is a thing that, like, keeps crossing my mind. I'm a little bit, not lost, but I really got to sit down and, like, think it through and research it through, or take some notes whenever I see a camera worth getting. But I haven't really seen any cameras that like that wowed me, like I haven't seen a single camera that wowed me. It's like, what do I do? Get a GoPro and hook up a cable and hook it up to a computer so I can access the GoPro over my home network? That seems a little convoluted. I got a Raspberry Pi right over here that I'm not using on my 3D printer anymore, so it's an option. But yeah, that's the thing that's going through my mind. And thank you, Whooper Trooper. Whooper Trooper says, very wise, comrade general. Yo, Whooper Trooper, I played Gundam, what do you call it? Gundam Battle Operation recently. And it reminds me of Gundam Crossfire, except that it doesn't, it runs at a better frame rate. While the PS3 game is a bit sketchy. I do like Gundam Crossfire a lot, but the gameplay is a bit jerky. Like it overwhelmed the PlayStation or something. So anywho, we should nuke the moon until it glows, or just paint it with glow in the dark paint. I mean that would work because like it would, how glow in the dark paint absorbs light, or in so many words. So I mean, the sun would constantly be able to hit the. Remember, aside from eclipses, 50% of the moon is being illuminated at any given time. Like right now, we just happen to be looking at the side that's almost fully lit. The opposite side is almost fully dark. And there is no dark side of the moon, unless you're on acid and you're Pink Floyd. But no, jokes aside, there's no dark side of the moon. There is a far side of the moon. Yeah, so what's cool though is we might point at a different patch of sky and get better luck. No doubt. I hope this wasn't too boring. Thank you for tuning in, Bucky's Crafting. And I should definitely add Dadman Walking to my stream elements bot so that I can send people to him after my stream is over. Real quick, what I want to do is find two things. So the moon don't look bad from this angle, but let's take a look at why it's blurry. Okay, so you know what? We're cutting through a lot of diagonal atmosphere. We're not even at a 45-degree angle. So let's go up and shoot at M3. Now, M3 is basically a star cluster. And if I'm not pointing at M3, what else can I point at? Well, let's see. We got Bode's Galaxy. And what's Bode's Galaxy next to? It's next to the Cigar Galaxy. That one's always a fun one to look at. But these are pretty small targets. This is how they would look in my frame. It's tempting. It is tempting to image these targets. And the Garland Galaxy, look at that. That is a sexy galaxy, but that's a magnitude 10, so that'd be a little hard to image. So what I sometimes do is I'll lock onto one of these targets and then I'll recenter it so that we can fit both of them into the frame. So I think we're going to do, we're going to point at this Cigar Galaxy. Oh, not yet. Let's do something simple. So number one, now that I'm not doing the moon, we got to switch back to 11 megapixel mode because lower resolutions will yield us larger pixels. And am I on the right camera? I'm not even looking at the OBS window. Okay, good. I'm on the right camera. I'm going to try submersible submarine camera. Yeah, a tiny submersible submarine camera would be fun, right? And I mean, like, I don't need one that I could steer around because that would be too big. But even in something submersible that I could aim would be really awesome, but I don't, mind if it's just a wide angle lens underwater. But that's the thing, if you can't aim the camera, then you benefit from having multiple cameras, It's like, that's a way to compensate for the inability to aim the camera. Okay, so now we got it on 1 second exposures. And we're in the hydrogen filter, but a little cheat we can do is use the red filter since hydrogen alpha is a sliver of the red spectrum. And you can actually see a little skid mark on my screen right there. See that little thing there? It looks like a cheerleader's pom-pom. That is a star cluster. So, we're going to go make some adjustments there. By the way, James, I got up to the Honor Harrington book where she gets taken hostage, and I got up to the part in the book where we get a partial resolution to the thing. The Pleiades, I believe, is out of season right now, Caleb, but we can take a look. Camera on a stick for total observation. That would be interesting, but like that would be more like maybe like if I was doing a live stream and I wanted to go down to the turtle tank to get like a closer look at them. But I'm not afraid of them. So I don't even need a stick for them, although it would allow me to avoid touching them, which is good for preventing salmonella. Salmonella, yeah, that stuff. Okay, so right now we're just kind of closing up the focus here. And we basically got it, but sometimes the graininess can throw me off. So what I like to do is crank it down a little bit. Okay, that now it's blurry. Okay, good. So I just had to get that dialed in. If cigars come from so far away, it would explain the great expense. Yeah, but you know, if they're coming down to the gravity well, you would think they could give us like a price break on cigars, you know? That's why I bought the stub cigars recently. I bought these cigars just for kicks, and I bought, like, they were called nubs, which is kind of funny because nubs sound like, you know, like when you have no arm. And I figured, like, you know, because I don't want to have like a friggin' like 20-inch cigar, like, light it up somewhere and then be like, okay, gotta go now, and be like, oh crap. It's like, cigars, you're not really supposed to extinguish them. You're supposed to like let them self-extinguish. So you can't like put a cigar in your pocket while it's burning. So it's like, yeah, it's just impractical to have like a large cigar if you ever want to, like, you know, act like an old guy with a cigar, like, you know, like Winston Churchill or Matlock. In fact, Matlock used to buy cigars from my grandfather, my great-grandfather, yeah. It's true. I once touched a cigar box that could have ended up being sold to Matlock if it wasn't, you know, in my possession. Can we see the Pleiades? Oh yeah, we can check that. Aren't those sometimes called Orion's belt? No, but they're both very popular objects, so I wouldn't blame you for knowing about those two names in tandem. Okay, so I think we're more or less in focus. So then what we're going to do is we're going to crank it up to like, say, 60 seconds, whatever, right? Oh, wait, no, we got to do like 4 seconds. Then we tell the computer, plate solve and resynchronize. And then this program is going to crash probably because it usually will. Whoa, where's the reticle? Oh, wait, I wasn't pointing at the cigar. Okay, we'll point at the cigar in a minute, but this is like a nice big object here, you know, and so the procedure is aim at the target, recenter it by using plate solving. You can see it's settling into the center of the frame now. And then we turn on deep sky image annotation. Oh, that's really taking the time to settle there. That's okay. We're gonna oh, you know why drifting? You know why? I forgot to do something. I forgot to switch it to regular rotation tracking. Remember, the Earth does not rotate at the same speed as the moon. So, anyway. Oh, there we go. I crashed. See, Stellarium needs to be uninstalled and reinstalled without the plugin that I know is causing the issue. Because basically, I installed a plugin that used to be my go-to, but the plugin is now redundant. So, as a result, it just causes Stellarium to crash. But because the new backyard computer is a freaking awesome machine, like it's literally like almost as powerful as the machine in front of me right now, like I had to go out of my way to make sure that my new backyard computer wasn't faster than the computer on my desk. Because I was like, that would just be ridiculous if the computer in the backyard was more powerful. It's like, at that point, I might as well build a new computer for my desk and put this one outside, but I wasn't really inclined to do that because this one's configured. Everything's ready to go. It's set up. It works. So anyway, as you can see, the target's in the center. We did deep sky annotation. We could even verify it. Oh yeah, so let's answer that question. Let's see if Stellarium crashes this time. So we got two targets. So Orion's belt is just above under the ground. But if it wasn't under the ground, and you know how many days of rain we had? Wait, M40, Orion. Where the fuck is it? Why does that look so... Oh, there we go. So, you know what's happening? I'm looking at the atmosphere through the ground. But if we were on the other side of the Earth, we would see... wow, it's really hard to see, isn't it? Okay. So essentially, if I was looking at the sky, you would see Orion's belt 1, 2, 3, right? That's Orion's belt right there. See those 3 stars? Including Mintaka, which was a site of a humongous battle in Star Trek Deep Space Nine during the Dominion War. And then right under Orion's belt, you have his feet. Right? So Rigel, which is from Star Trek as well. And Scythe is his foot. His feet. And so I would say that these are Orion's legs, this faint line. And so basically I would say the Great Orion Nebula is right between the knees. See? And I've taken many pictures of this before, some of them decent. Now, going back to the belt, it's literally a belt of stars. This is something that you can see pretty easily with the naked eye. And then Betelgeuse is, Betelgeuse is right up here. So top left, like if Orion's doing this, Betelgeuse is this, which you can't see, but yeah. And, there's Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse. I love when you're watching the science channel and some astronomer decides to get all fancy with their pronunciation. They're like Betelgeuse. They're not saying Betelgeuse. They're like Betel. I can't even say it like they do sometimes. Anyway, so yeah, that's the Orion Nebula. Second object you mentioned, Caleb mentioned, was the Pleiades, which I cannot spell, but luckily I'm pretty good at guessing the spelling. So the Seven Sisters. Now this is sort of upside down compared to what I would be accustomed to seeing in my sky. But you get the idea. There's like 7 bright things. It's sort of like a nebula along with a bunch of stars in there. And so you get these things that look like almost like if you had smudges on glass, or like if you got fog on your window and, you smeared it. That's sort of like smeared it. Yeah, this is like sort of what you got going on here. And I've actually had mixed results trying to capture this in this level of detail. Like when I first started capturing, I was overlooking one key step, so I would never get the nebulosity. But then once I figured out that one trick, it wasn't really a trick, but doing it correctly, yeah, I know, it's got more than 7. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know, James. But no, it's funny. I know, it's like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I count that one already? Yeah, let's just say I count that. 6, 7. So maybe a bunch of these don't count. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna guess that somewhere in here, a couple of these just don't count for some reason. I suspect the Seven Sisters are the ones you can see with the naked eye. So if we were to limit the magnitude of what can be seen on screen, you might, So okay, here's an example: magnitude 3, magnitude 4, magnitude 6. So my guess is the magnitude 6s don't count. Magnitude 2, bright as F. Magnitude 3, 5. So let's see if we get this now. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe 7. So something like that. I think that's what it is. It's probably that. But don't quote me on that. Alright, so now California Nebula could be a lot of fun to capture. I mean, just red, but it's very easy to get in infrared. One of the things that I definitely want to bring back the infrared filter at some point, because there were times where I found the infrared filter did way better than the actual tool for the job. So you have the right tool for the job, then you got the infrared filter for planetary imaging, and it was the planetary filter that did nebulas better than other filters in my arsenal. Okay, so anyway, generally what we would do is we'd crank up our exposure time to at least 60 seconds, let's say. And there was already a little bit of drift in here, but it's not really a big deal. And then we would use the secondary telescope, the guide scope. And this is what would send corrective pulses if we started drifting out or off target, off course. Can you get the, yes, that's a good question. So about the T Corona Borealis outburst. While this image sequence is capturing, we can actually pull that up from yesterday, because I literally, for a good chunk of last night while I was sleeping, that's all this telescope did was take pictures of T Corona. I keep opening and closing my window when it gets hot in here, but anyway, so that would probably be here. Did I not rename it? Okay, these are probably the ones from last night, because I'm actually not sure, because I feel like there's some earlier pictures in here too. Okay, so there we go. Good. So we do need to install an application. We need to install the Subaru Image Processor application, Macaulay as they call it, because this is just quality Japanese software that works really well for what I'm about to use it for. It's almost like a way of doing a little light processing on the imagery before you do the heavy processing. Okay, so that looks fucking awesome. it does not look awesome. So let's take a look at what went wrong. Everything went fucking wrong. So this is a problem I had yesterday where the auto guiding would just give me a big FU. And I found a simple solution, but it's like kind of annoying that I have to do it. So what I do is I pick the dim star, right? And whatever star I want. Let's see, we'll do a 0.5. Get a nice peak there. And we hold down shift and we tell the thing calibrate. And then we let it calibrate. Why is software huge these days? Because of high-level languages. Because nobody optimizes anything. I mean, what is a developer today? A guy with a MacBook, Perl, and Python. Although, if William was in the chat, he might give some interesting counterpoints, more informed counterpoints than that. But I remember my brother was telling me about how many people like lived on MacBooks. Hell, he switched to a MacBook too. I feel bad for him. But look, the touch bar is kind of neat. But outside of the touch bar, up until recently, I didn't really care. Like, granted, Apple Silicon has some interesting things going for it. I can't really hold that against Apple. Where's my download? Let me make sure I don't have anything in there. So did I not install the Subaru app? Apparently not. We're going to do that again. There we go. Oh boy. Yeah, this happened to me yesterday. So it says it's tracking now, but this trend line looks really, really weird. Like this declination line is just like ridiculous. So we're going to reset the statistics and see if the declination trend line is still a mess. Okay, that's an improvement. So I think I don't know why I have to recalibrate like that. Like I know different regions of the sky will behave a little bit differently, but I feel like something else is awry that I'm going to have to figure out. So no one is writing assembler anymore. Everything is compiled 27 times. Makes sense. Yeah, you know, it's basically in a nutshell. And like, you know, look, I mean, if you're making a compiler, you write an assembler. If you're not writing a compiler, you don't write an assembler. I guess is how people think, you know? And you leave the work to a guy who gets a higher salary than you. Well, that's annoying. Why couldn't it just open up the Subaru app? Like, now I gotta go look for it. Okay, here we go. So, last night I was imaging the star, and this is not the right image. This is a 1080p frame, but it still gives us, puts us on track. I feel like I'm missing images from last night, but I'm kind of hoping that the images that I'm missing from last night were simply rolled over into this set of images here. I mean, even if it wasn't, I'm just going to have to live with it. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to live with that. And then these are the images that went all the way through the night. So this would be the last batch of images. So anyway, bottom line is to open up a bunch of these and we'll cycle through it. These are of the Corona Borealis object or region of the sky from last night. So we're going to see if we can spot it. And we're going to also do some plate solving. So plate solving is where it's sort of like the thing I do when I auto align the telescope. So it does like a little processing. You need to make the settings blah blah blah. What do you mean? I never set this shit up. All right, 550. What 4.96? I hope. I don't actually know what the pixel size of my camera is right now. Can we get that information? We should be able to get it from the Fitz header. In fact, the software should have just been able to get this information for me. Why do I have to get the information? Like, I don't remember the answer to these questions. There is a mathematical way to get the right answer. But we're going to just Google it. QHY294 camera. And as you can see, this website likes to load slowly because it's in a different part of the world. And it's using a IMX492 sensor. But there we go. I'm going to take their word for it. That is a 4.63 micron. So we're just going to type in the word 4.63 here. And we got a 550 millimeter. And we're going to let all of this other stuff be. And we're going to click OK. Do we have to save settings? No, I don't think so. And then we're going to pray. Focal length, if no, we're just going to say yes. So basically what it did was it detected that the focal length is actually 553 millimeters. And so it's compensating for it, which is fine, you know, because the reason I'm doing this is I need to know where the star is. Now, I believe T Corona Borealis is this guy here. Pretty sure that's T Corona right there. And it's not really much to see, but, you know, it's just one of these things that at some point it's going to, if it hasn't already happened, it will get really bright. It'll go from magnitude 2 to magnitude 10. And so that's going to register. So this, I think, was a 60-second exposure. And that's something that will register. Whoops. What happened there? Why is this thing being a pain in my ass? Do your job. File not found. Get the fuck out of here. Okay. No, we are not going to allow that. Might have to update this software. I don't know. I haven't used this in a while because I haven't needed to. So ever since getting the plate solving to work inside of this application, which is what we're sort of doing here, I haven't needed to do plate solving elsewhere. So now the auto guiding is working, but the shit is off center because of that weird complication. So we recalibrated. So now I should be able to just recenter it manually like this. Even if it's off target, I could tell the software to, like, you know, I could tell it to recenter on its own. In fact, it looks like it's already recentered. So to be safe, we could tell it to resync. And then in the meantime, there we go. So now the auto guiding is working. Notice this time it's not getting all loopy on me. Like, it's making corrections, but it's not freaking out. So that's basically what we're looking for. My guess is that I have to redo the polar alignment on the scope again, because even though I did it somewhat recently, it's raining. It's been raining so much. I think the telescope kind of just sagged in the, you know, soil. My Corona. That's my singing voice right there. Or even Pascal, compile it once. Assembler is hard. Takes many instructions to get anything useful done. Yeah. Would think it could with plug and play over USB. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, like, the camera is already relaying information, and the pictures all have settings attached to them. That's sort of, I think, how it knew that the image was a higher resolution. I don't know why this program is being a little B word. I probably have to install the indexes. I probably got to do that. Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what I got to do. So, what was that? A 4164 2822. 4164 2822. So these are already installed, so I don't know what the freaking issue is. But I think it's extremely un-American that this software is not, you know, cooperating with me right now. So what I might do is maybe close it and reopen it and cross my fingers that it behaves a little better. And then we'll just pick another image. Because it said it's like fine. It's like, is this correct? I'm like, yeah, sure, use those settings. Then I say plate solving. It finds something. And then it's like, no. I gotta invite the helicopter pilot for tea. So, let's see. All ASPS File not found. Let's see what they say in Google land. Why would I? No, okay, we don't want that. So we're gonna type it in. All sky plate solver. Will not allow browse solved image. Okay, so there's people here on cloudy nights. They're like, it works great with one exception. It's file not found when I click browse. Yep. A side question for the folks who use this. Does this feature browse image only work? Blah, blah, blah. I installed it today. Had the same issue using 1.4 blah. The only thing I discovered that works is a JPEG file. That doesn't sound any fun. Wait, what's that say? Send a help request months ago, no response. So I think it just maybe could be a server side thing. But I almost never have to deal with that. Sometimes people in the results are saying, use this other program. It's like, yes, I'm aware of that, but I'm using this one right now. Well, whatever. Like, it's a very trivial issue to deal with right now, considering everything. Wait, what happened here? Oh. When did I click stop? I don't remember clicking stop in the auto guiding, but apparently I did. So maybe what's happening is... Nah, that's not it. What a pain in my butt. I'm deleting all of these indexes. What is that? 41 something 2822. What was the resolution again? 4164. So we're going to just re-download the raw data. But that is mighty inconvenient. Now it's in the center again. Okay, so I don't know why the auto guiding is like being all middle finger to me right now, but maybe there's a cloud passing by. Whatever, we're gonna relock the target and see what happens. 9 coronas. Right, share with friends. Some software is decidedly difficult to use. I did not decide to make this software difficult. No, I'm kidding. Okay, jokes aside. But, you know, we got a star cluster, right? I mean, that's a thing. You could see it right there. If you can, assuming the camera will remain steady and the auto guiding will do its job consistently enough, then yeah, we could take a series of pictures that could be stacked. The only caveat is I can't yet automate switching filters, because every time I switch filters, I either have to know the offset so that I can tell the focuser to adjust, compensate, or I have to manually do the focus for every filter. Now, it's motorized, which is cool. I don't have to go outside every time I switch filters, which is way better than it used to be. But obviously, the Holy Grail would be, or a step towards the Holy Grail would be that every time it switches filters, it would automatically autofocus. At which point, as long as you cut the target in the center of the frame, as long as plate solving works to center it automatically, as long as the auto guiding is engaging properly and automatically, then yeah, that would automate image acquisition. So anyway, let's see what the latest picture came out. Okay, so that's a new one right there. So in the meantime, I farted on mute. Uh-oh. Anyway, let's take a look here at ASPS. It's still installing the indexes. It's witching hour. Gotta go. All right, have a good night. Enjoy witching. And yeah, so my plan basically is to train on that target when I go to bed tonight. And if it turns into a bright flash, I will certainly let people know, because I'll be happy to show off any picture of a star going. But other than that, once again, thank you for tuning in, Philip, and you have a wonderful night and a wonderful witching hour. James, do you know what witching hour is? I don't know why you would know. I just figured I'd ask since I don't know. I feel like it could be like where you go to a party with a bunch of gothic girls. Or maybe it's like witchcraft. Or maybe it's like reenacting the Salem witch hunt. You eat moldy rye wheat, and then you hallucinate, and then people try to drown you. Okay, so basically it looks like it's an internet thing. Some people are like giving generic suggestions like, oh, check that your internet security is not blocking it. Here's an answer. As a fan of the IT Crowd TV series, I should have known better. Have you tried turning it off and on again? This did the trick, and ASPS seemed to work now. At least the GUI appears, and I was able to install Astrometry.net locally. Okay, so if I have to do that, I could do that. I'm really not trying to. Oh, he means midnight. Oh, yeah, I gotta go to bed soon, too. Yeah, that was me last night. Last night, Slim Nim was like, yo, man, you should do a stream. And I was like, oh, man, I'm really not up to it. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it anyway. So I did it as a private, unlisted. I did it as an unlisted stream. So if, you know, anyone, he shared the link out and I said, like, this would be interesting. Maybe if somebody tunes in, we know that they clicked on his tweet. All right, let's try this out now. This is so whack. All right. Do I want to reboot the backyard computer? Do I really want to do that? I mean, I don't want to do that, but like, basically, okay, so what the application that I was doing it with, that application would do is it would do what we're doing here now, except it would give us grid lines. So it's really not necessary now, but it's going to be necessary. If that star goes nova, if that star gets bright, then yeah, plate solving will be essential. And I do have the plate solver on this computer in front of me, but I really don't want to, like, you know, I want to keep everything on the astronomy computer for now because, you know, well, actually, I don't really have a good reason. That's what I want to do right now. Now, do I want to show off that Gundam game before I go to bed? Yeah, because I found some cool games recently. So if we look down here on my drawing tablet, yeah, I'm using my drawing tablet as like a fourth screen right now. How cool is that? I think it's pretty cool. And so I can take the pen and I can use it as a mouse pointer. Oops. See? I'm using the pen now. But yeah, so we got cool crash physics in this game. This game, hit or miss. I don't have super fun with it, but it is an improvement on the old one. I want to try out the plasma rocket or the Buzzard ram ship. This game looks dope. And it's pretty fun, but it's pretty intense. This is not something that I can play before bed because it'll get me, like, you know, energized. Same thing with this game, but I've been known to play it before bed because, you know, it's a driving game anyway. This game here has some wokeisms, but I don't know if you call it wokeisms, but it's like you got like a guy, a gunny sergeant who's like an alien. He's kind of sounds like the guy in Family Guy who goes, oh no, but like he still seems like a cool character. They have, like, you know, a lot of, like, you know, multicultural people, but, you know, that's all right because I mean, like, it's an alien galaxy. If you got aliens, why can't you have humans of different types, you know? And even if there was like an effort to like make it diverse and have a message, I still enjoy the game. The only thing I really have a complaint about on a personal level is that the character that I play as is a woman. And it's like, I wish I could pick my character. I wish I could start the game off and be like, do you want to be the guy? Do you want to be the girl? But that being said, I mean, I can't really get too mad at that because, I mean, I play Metroid. You know, like, Samus is a girl, and I've never complained more than once that Samus was a girl. Like, you know, it's like I actually didn't even know Samus was a girl until years after I started playing that game. So anyway, yeah, so this is some of the cool games. Star Wars Dark Forces is weird. It's got like two-dimensional, one-dimensional like enemies in a three-dimensional environment. Very bizarre, very like uncanny. But they didn't remaster Dark Forces 2 yet. So like to play Dark Forces 2 on stream, it's like I gotta be like really prepared because it changes my screen resolution. It moves all my app windows around. It's like a mess. Whereas this game here will play properly. Okay, so focus. What should I do next before I go to bed? Should I lock on that target and go to bed, or should I take pictures of the nebula? Well, I guess we want to capture the T Corona. Let's make sure it didn't blow up yet. Because if Corona Borealis blew up already, then there's no reason to lock on that target. In fact, I don't even have it here. Oh yeah, I know what I gotta do. It's gonna be HIP 78322 T Corona Borealis. And where is it? It's pretty low in the horizon right now. So the biggest issue I have is that as I'm tracking targets through the sky, they cross the meridian. And so when it does a meridian flip, that's when things become really problematic. And in fact, I could demonstrate that right here. So somewhere in the middle of the night, the objects in these frames get knocked out of place. So we can open up two images. We're going to open up one in the early end of the night. Okay, that's this one here. So we can see like the star is presumably in the middle somewhere. Once again, it'd be nice to, like, I think it's that one right there. And then as we progress through the night, I'm actually switching between two images right now and they barely look any different. So that's kind of cool. So when we do get to a different one, we should be able to spot it like a sore thumb. So if we go and we open up that one and honestly, I'm kind of, I don't even know what time the meridian flip happened, but maybe it happens much later than I expect. Am I even switching images correctly? No, I'm not. Oh, okay, I was doing it wrong. I'm sorry. So now we can see some drift. Now, bear in mind, some of these stars are not... No, I was doing it correctly. Okay, so some of these stars are actually just hot pixels. But you can see the star that's moving here. That is a, real star. So the drift is what necessitates auto-guiding. The problem is that when we get to like the middle of the sky, it wants to do a meridian flip because the design of this mount is such that if you don't do what they call a meridian flip, your camera bumps into the tripod. So the idea is that you got to take this bit that's pointing like this and move it to the other side. It can do it automatically. And it's essentially like flips everything upside down, which isn't really a problem, but it means that you lose your auto guiding. And I haven't figured out automating that yet. Why couldn't you like start in class, pick whoever you like the looks of? Yeah, right? Exactly, like start in a boot camp mode. Okay, let's try this again now that I figured out the... Okay, so this one's actually probably exactly what I think it is. Either a cloud or it switched... It did the meridian flip. There we go. See, that's a meridian flip. It's doing it right there. I think it's literally in the middle of doing the flip in that picture right there. So either that or have a satellite. I think it started slewing. I don't think it's like that line in the corner. I think that's part of the process of aiming or, readjusting itself. Yeah, I think that's literally what's going on here. So we have some movement here. See, look, we got more movement. Although I don't know why I got so... Did I capture a meteor shower by accident? Like, what is this? I doubt I captured a meteor shower. I'm sure this is just the telescope slewing. What bothers me is I don't recall these being very long short exposures. These are 1 minute exposures. It doesn't take 5 minutes to switch exposures. So that does worry me a little bit. But as long as like after the time period that it did what it was doing, as long as it's like consistent enough, it's not a big deal. So let's see here. We go here and we go here and we go to the, let's say 6:49 a.m. See, that's practically... Wow, gosh, why did it close the window? I was only trying to close the folder. Okay, I mean, whatever. There we go. That's better. Like, I don't know if I'm spotting a bunch of airplanes or satellites, but I think at some point it got to the end of the travel, and these are just the stars moving with the Earth's rotation. I suspect that's what it was, but let's see, 6 a.m. Let's go to 5:30 a.m. Okay, so 5:30 a.m. it looks pretty reasonable, right? So I think we can make this work out better than I initially had expected. So let's do a little thingy here. We're gonna good. We got one picture opened. That was one of the later images, right? That was image 311. So now we're gonna go to, like, say 5:23 a.m. See, the pictures look the same. Now we're gonna go back in time to 4:30 a.m. You know what's great about these images? Okay, there we go. So we have a lot of drift. So this is an issue because it means that the auto guiding or lack of auto guiding after the meridian flip is doing, this. So it's like I may be losing my target if I'm getting significant drift. That does bother me a little bit. What up, Raquel SSG 2211? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well today. So that is a lot of drift. Like right there, that point of light is sort of an indication, but it's like, okay, this I can live with, but then it's like, it just jumps. It's like, whoa, where did you go? In fact, I think it jumped and went upside down. So I have to kind of like mentally account for that. I mean, the software can account for it for me, but no, these, okay, I recognize these two stars and these three right here. So these are some of the complications that I'm facing here, right? Now let's see if we're left to our own, device. Let's see how long we can track the Corona Borealis before it falls off the tracking here. So once again, we're going to do HIP 78322, 78322, yep. Also known as T Corona Borealis. And we're going to simulate the future. How we might simulate the future. Well, right now the time is 12:13 a.m. UTC minus 4 hours, apparently. And we're going to fast forward into the future. And we want to know what time it's going to be when that object gets to roughly this part of the sky. So in 1, 2, 3, lock. And now, what time is it? 3:59. So, in other words, I can track it basically up to like 4 a.m. At which point, we just got to cross our fingers and hope it doesn't go nova between 4 and 5 a.m. It's kind of like what I'm working with right now. So, yeah, I'm going to let it be because it's better than having no opportunity. I'd rather have some opportunity. But I'll admit, like, I'm probably going to go and focus on the star cluster. If I have a clear night tomorrow night, we're focusing on the damn star cluster. But at the same time, like I said, I can't adjust the focus. I don't have proper autofocus when I'm sleeping. So I'm better off training on a simple target where I can, like, set a nice narrow band filter that can, basically shutter out light pollution. As you can see, the auto guiding seems to behave a little better right now. And if it does misbehave, we can fix it because I have a pretty good idea now what needs to be done to make it work. Yeah, so y'all should check out Raquel SSG 2211. In fact, this is an opportunity for me to test out my stream element spot. Let me see if I have you in the list, Raquel. If not, we're going to add you right now. We do not have you in the list, so we're going to add you to the list so that I can type an exclamation point followed by your name in order to find your channel easily. So that people can visit your channel. And I guess I'll have to make a separate one for the gaming channel. Unless your main channel links to your gaming channel. But no, let me see. I'm happy to do both. It's just a matter of remembering the command. So we're going to add a new command. In fact, we could add both your channels. Let's do that. We're going to make the command exclamation point Raquel. And we're going to say subscribe to Raquel SSG 2211 also check out Raquel's gaming channel. And I know I should probably type that out in better, you know, like instead of just Raquel's gaming channel, I should probably put like a different name there. But we're gonna call it Raquel's gaming channel for now. So anyway, how do I find Raquel's gaming channel? And that's cool. Look at that. Raquel's got a playlist that has the same thumbnail as today's show, or similar thumbnail. Today's thumbnail. How cool is the thumbnail for today's show? I thought it was really trippy. But like, yeah, in 2024, Raquel was on this show with my homeboy Zanzotan from the land of Argentina. That's Spanish for Argentina. Okay, so let's see if we can find a gaming channel here. So I probably have to Google it. Raquel SSG. Oh, it says right there. Raquel SSG 2211 Gaming. That's easy to remember. Might even be easy to remember than the first name. No, I'm kidding. There we go. Activate command. Let's see if this works. I think you can even issue the command yourself. If you ever drop into my chat and you want to type in the word Raquel like this, I'm pretty sure it'll trigger the command, which is like a little weird that like anybody could trigger the stream elements bot, but I'm not really against it. You know, it kind of works out. But you know, I could tweak it further, but you know, I just want to have like names like, do we have Whooper? I don't think we have Whooper. We should have Whooper, but I don't think we do. But I'm so glad. So one of the problems I had was I literally had this huge problem where I just couldn't like it wasn't like, what do you call it, working. And it turned out I had to make the stream elements bot into a moderator. And once I did that, it was all good. So we're gonna call this one Whooper or God Emperor. Subscribe to Whooper Trooper today. And I can always add the YouTube logo or emoji to it, but for now I just want to... Oh, okay, so it's just mods that can trigger. I think I've gone on other people's channels and like, especially when I'm a mod on someone like Mike's channel, I'll just type in the trigger commands to see what works. Tron had some pretty cool ones. He had like these dancing characters on the screen that you could issue commands to. That was a pretty cool setup that the legendary Tron had on his channel. Do I have Tron? I think I have Tron here. You know, it's funny. I don't get notifications. I've seen him post a few new things, but they don't come up when like I expect them to come up. And I definitely gotta like, man, I gotta do some housekeeping here. I gotta add F1 here. But for now, okay, let's see. The legendary... Okay, this is the last channel we add, but I just want to, you know, include Tron because he's a cool dude, and if I'm going through trouble for everyone else, it's the least I can do. So his command is very easy. Subscribe to the legendary Tron, and he probably has like other platform stuff too. So now, if I type in !Tron, now it should work. Okay, there we go. Okay, good. Okay, I appreciate you guys bearing with me while I configure those things. Okay, we're looking at Blaze Star, and we want to make sure we're like on target. So we're gonna tell the plate solver to resync it. Oh boy, no. Wait, did that work? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4. Okay, so we recenter the target. Then we wait 1 second. And we say plate solve and resync one final time. Okay, so let me see how does it work here. If you could, please put Raquel as 2211 Gaming for the stream elements bot so people won't get confused. My gaming channel isn't named Raquel's gaming channel. Oh, I got you. Yeah, I got you. Fair enough. I'm not sure if I'm spelling that right, but oh, it's like one word. You know what? Okay, I know what I gotta do. There we go. There, it's fixed. I literally put it verbatim. Okay, so now hip 78322. Why are you off center there, little star? Why is this? Oh, okay. Stellarium wants to do that. You know, it's probably a good thing it's gonna be cloudy tomorrow. Because boy, am I gonna have to do some maintenance with Stellarium. I mean, it's not a lot of maintenance. Just gotta clean it up, delete it, reinstall it. No doubt, you're most very welcome, Raquel. Yeah, man. What up, Chaos for you 728? Did I add you to my Stream Elements bot yet? I said that was the last person I'm adding to the Stream Elements bot, but I do remember like saying to myself, I was like, I gotta add my boy Chaos. Oh yeah, Chaos, you're in there. You type exclamation point Chaos, and you're good. And I hope they gotta have Slim in there, man. If I don't have Slim in there, I'm really messing up in life. Actually, I don't think Slim is in there. Oh, there you are. Yeah, we got Slim. We got Slim. We got Punk Waddle. Good. Okay, I'm glad. I'm just want to make it easy so that when I don't want anytime mods want to be helpful and post links, I want to try to make it super simple. Yeah, we had like a couple of really rainy nights in recent time, and like a couple of nights ago too. But I remember like we had weeks where it was like either cloudy or raining. Yeah, we got the real Slim Shady. Yeah, I heard the ducks have been reborn. Yeah, so Slim's channel, the ducks have been reborn. Although I've been having a blast playing Rift tracks. Like I come home on Sunday the other night, and we did this last Monday as well. I think, or was it last Sunday? And even though it's a work night, I had a blast participating in Rift tracks. Basically, it's a game where they play clips. Like it's a website with a game that he streams, and it's like these out of context movie scenes that you get to like basically it's like playing at Mad Libs or where you fill in the blank. So you'll hear the character say some crap, and then you have to like then you get to make up your own riff. You get to make up your own blank. You fill in the blank with something funny, and then everyone votes on it. There we go. Now it's centered. See, that's what I wanted it to do. So you see how the star's in the middle of the crosshair now? So that's good. So now we want to do the auto guiding. And Slim was watching this. Like I remember, like I said, when something stopped, at one point, everything's working great. Then it was malfunctioning. Then it was working great. Then it was malfunctioning. So at one point, I told Slim, go to bed. This thing's busted. It's not coming back. And then I fixed it right after. I figured out a solution that like I wouldn't normally do, but it worked. What the Dub is better, but Dave Gorman has that. Don't know who Dave Gorman is. That sounds familiar. I feel like I should know that. Why isn't it Gore Person? Why are they Gorman? Shouldn't it be Gore Person? Like, it's like very excluding. It's exclusive language to call him a man. He should be a person, like Congressperson. I'm joking. Jokes aside, a friend had a journeyman apprentice or journeyman on their channel, a female journeyman, and they were okay with the title journeyman. Their argument was like, this is the term. The term is journeyman. You don't need to call someone a journey person. You don't need to use this, specific language because like it applies man or woman. And that's the thing. Like, I think like even with congressmen, a congressman and a congresswoman, they both have this, suffix, or the woman has that man suffix. It doesn't make her a man, but it's like we are mankind. Mankind doesn't mean like male kind. It means mankind, like collectively. And so at least that's my logic to that. I don't know if that's accurate linguistically, but that's kind of like how I understand it. Screw your pronouns, screw my pronouns. Oh yeah, you haven't heard my pronouns yet. My pronouns are Turtle Keeper, DJ. Oh yeah, I bought tickets to Dune too. And it's funny, I remember hearing some people complaining about Zendaya. I'm actually saying her name right. I used to think it was Zendaya. I used to think her name was Zendaya, like Zendaya. Yeah, I used to think her name was Zendaya. And I have nothing against the girl. Like, I don't even know her. I haven't really watched much of anything with her aside from Dune 1. But like, I don't know. It's funny seeing the name like Zendaya. It reminds me of like Zumba, you know. But no, Zendaya. I don't have a problem with her, but I had a problem with the box art where she's like standing in front of Paul Atreides with the Chris knife, and it's just like, you know, it seems like, you know, kind of like they want her to be like the feature presentation. Now, on the other hand, Paul, he's not without fault. You know, Paul Atreides, like, yeah, he meant well, but man, when he lost control of that jihad, what a mess that was, huh? And, you know, so anyway, I booked my ticket for this Thursday, and I had to get like a pretty low seat. But the good news is that even the lowest seat in the IMAX theaters are still pretty high above the ground or the bottom of the screen. And I kind of like it because it's like an easy to access row. So I don't have to go through, like, I don't have to squeeze between people's legs to get to my seat. So I kind of like that part a lot because, you know, I don't want to have to deal with more social interaction than I really need to. And maybe I'll bump into some socially awkward chick sitting in the front row too. No, I'm kidding. But jokes aside, I was surprised how like packed the theater is. Even like we're getting towards the end of the run now. Maybe if I went 2 weeks ago, I would have found an empty theater. I don't know, but that was the freaking theater for Dune 2 in Manhattan at the Lincoln Square IMAX is pretty freaking like packed. Like you can like sit in the front row. Basically, on certain days, you can't even get a seat unless you want to sit in the front row. It was like that. I was like, oh boy. All right, let's get this focused, and then we can lock our target. So we're gonna purposely lose the target. We're gonna okay, there we go. Now we made it blurry. That's okay. I did that on purpose. When a guy with a beard and shoulders broader than mine is in Abra wants to be called a woman, I just can't. That's a dude. Well, that's the thing. Like, so if it's like literally a dude, like you know, talks like a dude, looks like a dude, it's kind of hard to expect me to accommodate, you know. But like, I'm not saying that if you're transitioning that you have to actually look the part, you know, because I understand that every person who wants to transition has $1 million, you know. But, you know, if you're like trying to look the part and you're doing a pretty decent job of looking the part, I'll actually comply. I'll be like, okay, fine. You prefer this? Fine. You know, don't get mad at me if I can't keep track. But if I'm meeting you and I get to know you and you tell me you want to be called this pronoun, yeah, I'll do it. You know, it's like, there's not really any sweat off my back. But if a guy is like, it's ma'am, it's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, if I say, excuse me, sir, to a guy in a dress, and then he yells at me and tells me it's ma'am, I don't give a shit, man. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to be a phobic or anything like that. It's just that, like, you're like literally a guy in a dress at that point. You know, now, maybe I should have more empathy. I'm trying to think half glass empty here. But, yeah, it does test patience. Luckily, I've never been in a situation like that. Like, every real-life trans person I've met more or less looked like they were looking the part. Like, sure, I bumped it. I remember, like, I was working and I had to, like, you know, keep a straight face and not, like, act awkward. But, like, I thought it was weird. Like, it did hit me a certain way, like, almost not viscerally, but I did find it weird when I met, like, a guy who was dressed like a girl. They had skinny jeans on. They were, you know, hip huggers, tight jeans. They had long, straight hair, like, properly straightened hair. So, like, once again, they were looking the part. So, if, like, although I wouldn't know what pronoun to use, I probably would be right if I called them the female pronoun. If I asked them what their pronoun was, they would probably tell me female, and that would be cool. You know, I'd be like, okay, well, clearly you're wearing tight jeans, you're wearing some kind of stuffing under your shirt, or you're wearing a tight, you know, top. You got long, straightened hair. You know, okay, that's, you know, even though you still have a man's voice, I understand that it's a process, you know, and all of that. And so, you know, once again, like, you know, it's like, my bigger concern is when, like, high school kids or younger kids are being, you know, I don't really want to get into the weeds on that, but, you know, I think people have valid concerns about, you know, the way the education system promotes certain things and how, like, it's one thing to tell people, like, to be tolerant, but it's another thing to, like, encourage them to embrace things to the point where it's like, you know, a kid could show up in school and they have a pair of backup clothes. But then again, if I was really a boy who was like genuinely feeling like a girl and my parents weren't having that shit about me wearing girl clothes, maybe it would be reasonable to have like a stash of girly clothes in school. But on the other hand, no, I don't think a 10-year-old can make that decision. I don't think a 10-year-old can go show up at school and say, today I want to be this pronoun. And then the teacher's like, okay, here's your storage closet for all of the things that we're not going to tell your parents about. That is like an actual definition of that G word that is becoming very unpopular. Make them cough if you're unsure. Cough! Does that work? Like, I know, like, I remember I used to hear, like, when you joined the army, there would be some guy squeezing your balls telling you to cough. So, like, what is that? Is that like, does that work? Can you do that to yourself? Do you have to, okay, well, I'll do that later. I'll do that on my own time. But yeah, I am curious, like, what are they looking for? When you cough, do your nuts, like, move? Or, like, do you make a different noise when you cough? Like, what are they checking? Dolly Parton suddenly sounds like Lee Marvin. Well, at least she doesn't sound like Lee Majors, the $6 Million Man. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, that's my attempt at the $6 Million Man doing the Steve Austin. Oh, hell yeah. Hope you guys like it. All right, so we're going to lock the target like there. In those thereabouts, I guess, right? And no doubt, I gotta go too, man. Hope you enjoyed this show, man. And the Whooper Trooper, while you're here, feel free to leave a chat comment if there's something you'd like to see more of, or something you'd like to see less of, or anything that you'd like to hear or see more or less of. Let me know, okay? Your feedback is heavily valued. It's a test of your will. Oh, interesting. What up? What up? What up, the Padawannabe? I'm sorry, sir, ma'am. I grew up in a closeted cross-dressing generation. Please excuse me. I'm still adjusting to the current times. I watched Bosom Buddies. I get it. I think the cough thing is yes, the hernia. You're right. That is correct. No, I'm talking about Bubba Joe John, built like a tank in a dress, wanting to be called a woman. Oh, shit. Is that like the South Park episode with the really muscular guy, Slim? And he's like, oh, I'm a girl. When you cough, what they're looking for is a bulge in the testicles that shows a possible hernia. Ah. Do turtles and ducks get along? They coexist. Depends on the size of the turtle. Because if you look this up, you can find a video of a turtle eating a bird, and you can find a video of a bird eating a turtle. Like they take turns, like depending on the species you're dealing with. So like, I seen ones where the turtle comes out of the water, grabs one of the birds, and then drowns it. You know, drags the poor bird back into the water and makes him into, you know, dinner. Then I've seen other examples where the bird like manages to peck the shit out of the turtle and makes a meal out of the turtle. So depends on the species, depending on the size difference or the weight class, as they would say in the wrestling communities. Well, I used the word communities just now. But you get my drift. Okay, so I'd say the hydrogen filter is more or less in focus. So I was thinking like doing either 30 or 60-second exposures. I think the 30-second exposures are probably a safe bet because if we get a lot of drift, we can see it. But then again, I like the long exposure because if the star gets really bright, we can see the brightness change more easily. So I might even go for a longer exposure. I might gamble. So let's see what a 60-second exposure looks like first. And then we'll take it from there. So right now, looks like we are target locked. We're going to begin running the exposure run at, say, maybe 2,000 frames until 9 a.m. Let's do... Okay, perfect. Until 5 p.m. Oh, 5 p.m. Okay, 8:55 a.m. Sure, why not? Long after sunrise, this thing will still take pictures unless I hit the stop button when I wake up. Must try that, Slim Nim. I have a slight pain down there. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's definitely, if you have any concern, you know, investigate and solve it. I like to treat my own medical stuff at home. Like I got an earwax camera. It's really cool. I bought a new one. It's got like it'll auto rotate to keep the up at all times. So when I got my first earwax camera, if it was upside down, the picture would be upside down on your screen. This one has a gyroscope inside, so it can, basically keep it upright no matter how you're holding the camera, which is really convenient. I have scalpels in case I ever have to excise warts. I only had to do that once. When I first got my turtle, I was still learning how to get the water clean, consistently clean, and one of my turtles put her claw into my hand, and I think what happened was they injected whatever, something in the water was injected into my skin, and that created a wart, and it kept coming back until I was putting the salicylic acid on it, and then I think I ended up using a scalpel to excise the rest of it, and then it was gone after that. That was fun. Well, there's always pull up when you cough. A bulge is different. You got to know what to look for. Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay, so did we get the first exposure yet? So do we want to do a longer exposure? Let's see, the auto guiding is currently cooperating, right? If it keeps cooperating, we could do 2-minute exposures if we want. It'll be a brighter thing. Let's do a 2-minute exposure. But like I said, it's not the most remarkable thing, but the beauty of this target is that when I go to sleep tonight, I can keep taking pictures of it. And it's I don't need to refocus it, I just let it keep running. So, like I said, it's not remarkable, but there's a star in this screen, and if it does the thing that they say it's going to do, it'll get brighter. So I think I'm going to about wrap it up, but if anyone has any feedback, questions, comments, and Whooper did give his feedback. He said he wants to see more turtles. I appreciate that feedback. Thank you, Whooper of Whoopstotska. That is in the works because, the Disney sheep herder, he was really pushing me to do the, turtle cam. A long time ago, Floral from Under a Rock recommended the turtle cam. Give some happy comments to Floral. He was feeling a little under the weather recently, and I think we want to, just give him some happy comments. Of course, it looks like he's not on my list. All right, we're going to find him. We're going to find Floral from Under a Rock, and we're just going to put his link. Yeah, so you guys should subscribe. Tune in live on Wednesdays. And damn it, on Wednesdays. Ah, fudge. I didn't even spell that right. Whatever. Okay, whatever. Okay. Watch it Nova just before you get ready to drop a stream. But it wouldn't be funny, it'd be funny if I'm lining everything up, it Novas and it stops Novering, and it happens all while I'm not recording. But you know how many times I see airplanes, I'll be pointing my telescope at the moon, and an airplane will fly in front of the moon, and you'll see the contrail, it'll make this weird moisture pattern. It's actually very cool. And then I'll be looking at the sun, and same thing, a plane will pass by in front of the sun, and that makes a really cool silhouette too. So I think we're going to do 2-minute exposures so we get a bright register. But I think it's the type of thing that when it goes bright, it's going to stay bright for a while. It's not going to go dim in a minute. It's going to stay bright anywhere from a day, 1 to 50 days. I believe that is how that works. Don't quote me on that. I mean, you can look up T Corona Borealis. It's Corona in Latin, Coronae. Or you can type in NGC. Oh, crap. That is NGC. I'm sorry. That is HIP 78322. HIP 78322. There we go. I had to relabel it because it didn't have the right label. So it's I'm on the fence about 60-second exposure. You can see how small the object is in the frame right there. And it's gonna go from magnitude 2 to magnitude, magnitude 10 to magnitude 2. So it really doesn't need to be like, you know, that long of an exposure, but I kind of like the idea of having a longer exposure for this. And then when I wake up at 5 a.m., I can always adjust for the meridian flip as I'm waking up if I'm not running late, which I probably will be in a rush to get ready for work. So anyway, oh, excuse me. So anyway, I think that about covers it tonight. So, yeah, it's a little, oh shoot, I'm an hour over. Yeah, I better get to bed. So anyway, I really want to thank everybody. Wednesday, yes, that's correct. I just didn't type it right because I felt like, I don't know why, I'm typing the letters in the wrong order. 9 p.m. EDT. There we go. Wednesday. Because I had an Indian teacher and he literally pronounced it as Wednesday. And people were like, what the heck? And I knew exactly what he was saying. I was like, oh yeah, well, he's pronouncing it exactly the way it's spelled. Like he's not wrong per se, you know. But yeah, so I do want to give a shout out to Slimnim, Vakel, SSG 2211, Chaos for You, 787 or something like that. I'm kidding. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but the number in his name. I have to Google. Good call. I always have to Google how to spell that day. Yeah, so sometimes it's nice, like even if you like, you know, the word isn't pronounced the way it's spelled, it's helpful to enunciate the wrong pronunciation. Like, you know, just go with the way it's written, read it incorrectly, because that's how you can remember the word. And then, you know, pretty quickly you can figure out how to pronounce it correctly anyway. But like, I think for memorization, it helps to just know the wrong. Yeah, anyway, you get my drift. So anyway, Slim Nim's got the right idea, saying, night, Ronnie, have a good dream time. I appreciate that. I hope you have a good dream time too when you get around to sleeping as well. And I also hope the same applies to everyone, including the Padawannabe. Pete Doyle, thank you so much for tuning in. You know, including Chaos, including Vakel, including James, including David Glenn, who went to bed, Boogie's Crafting, who is hanging out with Dad Man Walking right now, I believe. I don't know if he's in my list right now. And I better get to bed, so I don't think I should be looking at my list right now. Let's see here. So, no, I don't have Dad Man Walking yet, but his YouTube channel is Dad Man Walking if you want to catch up with that side of YouTube. They're very nice people. And so at this point, we're just going to let this hang. There is a little bit of drift here that makes me almost want to, like, you know, shorten the exposure time, but I'll have less pictures to sift through if I do longer exposure. So I think I'm going to gamble and let it be. So, yeah, with that being said, once again, for anybody watching on the replay, if you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. And for now,